Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we have a great show for you guys today. All right, we are recording this on a Wednesday. Cut day is done. We're going to be doing the NFC prop bets. Basically doing, I did the AFC by myself while you're on vacation.
Killed it, man.
But we're gonna hop on BovadaSportsbook.com and then just go through every AFC team NFC team this week and talk about some of the player props. They're going to compare that to some of my season-long projections, so that'll be fun. It'll be nice to actually have somebody to bounce it off of. Last week was just me talking.
I can see where it'd be hard to be like, all right, and now we're gonna go to
and hey, I agree with this too because it's my take again.
Yep.
Nonstop. It is really fun in my opinion, just because like the player props are genuinely just fun to bet on for me. Like I have $300 that I plan on putting on all these props, and we're going to talk about some of them today. I've already talked about some of them last week, and it's just like, to me, just having players that you can watch year long. And I like to bet the overs just because it's fun to root for guys, but financially I also like to bet the unders because there's more ways that a player can hit the under.
An under can hit naturally, an under can hit because of an injury, it can hit because of ski. Yeah, there's a lot.
You never root for that, but hey, it's
of course
that's a part of the game, and why wouldn't you factor that in when you're making these bets? Before we get into that, anything you want to touch on with the cut day? I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting. Nothing major that really happened.
I don't think that there's. It was kind of lackluster compared to most of cut days. I would say there's usually one big veteran that gets cut, whether it be for financial reasons, whether it be because they couldn't find a trade partner, different things going down. My Vikings, I would say, had two pretty solid headlines.
Interesting.
We moved on from Kellen Mond, who was the third-round quarterback that we took out of Texas A&M. We ended up trading for Nick Mullins, right?
You traded. I don't think was it Mullins. You traded for a backup from the Raiders. It might have been Mullins.
Can't remember what it was right away.
I think it was Mullins.
It just showed that we were in our preseason games. The thing that stood out was poor backup quarterback play, and if something happens to Kirk, God forbid, it's going to be a wrap no matter what. We ended up getting Jalen Reagor over from the Eagles, and then I think the other big move would be to put a final nail in the coffin. That was the Raiders front office was Alex Leatherwood getting cut.
That was wild.
It's sad to see if you look at the amount of draft picks that they've had versus who's still on roster. They missed. I mean, you could almost put a fourth grader in that role, and I bet that they'd have someone else still on roster there. It was bad.
It was. So Mike Mayock, obviously, there was so much excitement about it, but his first round picks, which is really what you're going to get graded off of, had 3 in 2019, which this is the year they would have signed the option. They're all on the team. None of them got signed for their 5th-year option. So that was Josh Jacobs, the safety, Abrams, and then Khalil Farrell, who was like the surprise top 5 pick, top 3 pick, whatever it was. And then every other first round pick, obviously other than 2022 first round pick that they just got, are not on the roster. Like cut. Granted, Ruggs was off the field issue or whatever, but miss. I mean, it's interesting how that's played out, and I mean, it's also really interesting when you look at like the positions that they picked and the players that went after them at that same position that they could have gotten that would have been way more valuable.
It was heavy reaches and misses, and they had the whole thing with John Gruden and the emails come out. They haven't been trending upward in a lot of different areas.
I like their team right now, though.
Yeah, no, I do too. I would say in spite of all of the things that have happened, all the poor picks, all the bad moves, they have Chandler Jones, they have Max Crosby, they have a pretty solid up-and-coming defense, and one of the best coaches that we've been waiting to see get the job in Josh McDaniels. Who knows what's going to happen? I would say in spite of all of the bad taste that leaves in your mouth, they're in the hardest division of football, but they still have a lot to play for.
Yeah, I mean, they snuck into the playoffs last year. It's weird to say, hey, they did get better, but also they're going to miss the playoffs. It's tough because the AFC is so stacked. But yeah, they're an interesting team in general. Beyond that, no major other cuts that I really want to talk about. Sony Michel moving to the Chargers, that's not like a major move. Little things like that, but nothing major. I kind of want to get into this player prop thing if you're ready for it.
Let's roll for it.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go alphabetical NFC, right? So we'll start with the Arizona Cardinals here. A lot of interesting players here to talk about. We'll talk about 3. Kyler Murray, obviously being the first one. His over-under for receiving yards, 39.50 in receiving yards. That's significantly higher than my projections. Where's your instant reaction with that?
Well, it just depends on if you think he's going to take off where he does. And if his body's gonna start breaking down like it has historically when you get to like week 10 or 11, you see this Kyler that can be NFC Player of the Month for September, October, lighting the world on fire. But then as the year starts going on, you start seeing a lot more of those. He'll make the plays with his legs, but you see the stat line that's more of like a 175 through the air, 50 on the ground with a couple touchdowns here or there.
Yeah.
Regardless of the win or loss, it's not the 350 blazing like he was. He was on pace for MVP last year.
He was.
And then, like I said,
Call of Duty came out.
Call of Duty came out. And guess what? Call of Duty's coming out again this year. So let's see what he's going to be doing. Gun to my head, I would take the over. I would take the over. I'm going to put him around the 4,200 yard mark.
I highlighted this immediately. I look at all of the factors to take the under. Okay. I have him at 3,500 yards or 3,500 passing yards. I feel good about that. Like, maybe that is a little bit too low, and maybe that is me buying the cheese a little bit on a negative off season for him in general. But I just buying the cheese. Is it easy eating the cheese? I don't know.
You like cheese?
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know the saying, but I know I got it wrong. Either way, I don't think I'm wrong about this. You said gun to your head, but probably wouldn't bet it. I'm on the other side of it. Like, I'm probably gonna bet this on the under.
Do you not think that the
D-Hop's being gone. Marquise Brown, new wide receiver. Zach Ertz is hurt right now, probably not going to be ready for week 1. Like, a lot of his pass-catching weapons really aren't there.
The arrogance that Kyler displayed with this contract talk, though, I think he's going to have his chin tucked down, proving the haters wrong, and it's kind of hard for me to say that, but I think he wants to do that. He wants to go out there and show the media, show everyone that made fun of him and all this stuff, because I know he listens to it and he hears it all.
For sure.
That he is capable of throwing for 4,500 yards. It's just a matter of he's very capable of doing that, and I think the weapons around him do support that in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. It's just a matter of what scheme is going to take over.
Yeah.
Is he needed to do that? There's a lot of different variables in it. I would take the over, though.
Fair enough. And again, you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury offense. Not scary to me. I don't think it's dynamic enough personally for the passing game. That's another element to it for me.
It's bland.
And then also, the rushing yards is a real thing. Like, this is, if we said that Lamar Jackson was going to get 4,000 passing yards, everyone would say we're crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I think Lamar Jackson and Kyler, they're both good throwers. Maybe Kyler has a little bit more of a pop on his arm, but like I view them similarly as run first quarterback type guys, and maybe that is insulting. That is inherently insulting.
I give Kyler the edge.
I think the rushing yard aspect, like, he's going to create on the ground too. That's just another element makes me hit under. Yeah, but we'll move right along because we got a lot of guys to talk about, so we can't spend too much time on any one of them. James Conner's the next guy, 800 rushing yards, same team. Obviously had an absolutely insane touchdown production last year. That you got to imagine that's going to regress to the mean. But at 800 rushing yards, that sounds about right. I don't hate that. I don't love it. Where are you at with it?
Over.
Really?
Probably over. I don't think Eno Benjamin being the other guy there.
Darrell Williams. None of those guys are surprising.
Intact, I see no problem as to where. But it is a fine window though, because I'll be honest, I'm not going to put him that much over 1,000. Yeah. So I think he can do it though. I think I'm glad we're different. This is so rarely are we so different, so much off. Like, you're going heavy under on the Cardinals. I think that they're
gun to my head. I'm taking the under.
Offense.
Yeah, gun to my head. I'm taking the under. Another team that, like, we've never seen the Cardinals have a true workhorse at running back. And granted, you can get 1,000 yards and not be the true workhorse. I get that, but I do think there's going to be enough guys chomping at the bit to get some carries. James Conner, older running back. Yeah, I wouldn't bet this by any means, but a gun to my head, I would go under.
Wow.
We'll move right along. I know you disagree with that, but I mean, there's not really, like, I don't think either of us would bet on James Conner, would we?
No. Yeah. Like I said, we'll find somewhere it's like, hey, I'm going to let you know I love this line.
Yeah.
These lines, I see it going either way, but I do think with the way that they like to run the ball, they're committed to pushing the ball down through the middle too whenever running. James Conner fits that perfectly.
That's fair.
Really does.
He does. Marquise Brown, 875 passing yards, or receiving yards, excuse me.
Damn, I wish that there was a way on Bovada that I could, like, split it up and bet, which, I mean, I know you can do the single game bet, so I'm going to be looking heavy Hollywood first 6 games. Yeah. I think that him and Kyler are going to have that electric connection that they did back at Oklahoma. There's a reason that Kyler was such a big voice and advocate of bringing him on for their first round pick. I mean, that's, that speaks for itself. but there's a lot of mouths to feed on this offense. You know, there's a lot of wide receivers. They're fresh legs. They're ready to go. And when Hops comes back, I'm going to take the under.
I'm going over. No, I just think it's funny. I'm following I have him statted out to 936. So again, another one way too close for me to bet. But again, we're talking gun to our heads. Yeah, I would go over. Wow. But that's I think the one I agree with you the most on. Like I 100% understand your logic.
I think when you look at the stats at week 6, you're going to be like, oh, that is for sure over because I mean, he's going to get the touches. He's going to get the extra targets. You know. And
if he's at 400 after 6 games, do you feel good about it? 400 yards.
I think he's going to be more than that.
You think he's more? Well, if he's more than that, you should be betting the over. I feel like.
I think he's going to be more than that. I just think it's going to take a substantial drop off.
Fair enough. I mean, that's a. I mean, I understand that that's scripting out for the season. I totally get your logic. I just lean over.
He's going to have a game where he gets 150 in there.
Yeah,
I have no doubt about that.
If you give me 500, if you give me 500 yards, it's after 6 games, I would be so comfortable with another 375 for the last 10 or 11. I mean, if you honestly believe he's in that range, which I don't think. I think 506 games is a lot.
I mean,
that's kind of where you're at with him.
I stand by it.
Okay, fair enough.
I stand by it.
Fair enough. We'll move right along. It's weird that I feel like you're almost higher on Marquise Brown than I am.
Marquise Brown through weeks 1 through 6, get him.
Baller.
But I do think it's going to swap up, man.
Yeah, I mean D Hops is a legitimate, force, and he's going to take away a lot of touches for Brown. So I totally get that logic. Atlanta Falcons, not a lot to talk about here. I mean, just it's tough. So I mean, obviously Marcus Mariota, where is he at?
He's at 2250 on the passing yards, which I think, this might sound weird, that is like my lock of the year. It's wild to say that, but 2250. We did the math on that. What's that check out at again?
150 something yards a game if he plays 17 games, which is the big question mark.
132 yards per game.
Yeah.
That is all we need from Marcus Mariota, who is capable of doing that. Yes, I'm not going to write home about the Falcons' weapons.
Yeah.
They have Kyle Pitts, of course. They drafted a Drake London, Brian Edwards, a lot of different things going on there. And, Arthur Smith really is reliant on a read option for what I'm hearing in camp, coming with Cordero Patterson and different pieces. 2250, though. Come on now. Mariota, he's a tough quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he's capable of doing that. I would put him in the 3,000 range.
You think he starts every game?
Yes.
I think that line says, hey,
Desmond
he's not
Ridder
starting every game.
is not ready.
I agree with that. And yeah, that's a tough, I 100% agree that I would bet the over. I am not as gun-ho on the sole fact that I don't believe Marcus Mariota starts every game. And I do believe we're going to get to week 10, week 11, and they're going to be 1-2-win team, and they're going to say, okay, well, we need to at least see what we have in Desmond Ridder.
Man, I do the opposite, though. Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Trust me, I understand that mindset. I mean, we're bad. Let's see what we got. But if we're bad, I would hitch my wagon to the Marcus Mariota deal this year, ride it out. If it crashes and burns, it's a win at the end of the day. And if it hits, you know what? You look like a genius for being able to breathe life back into his career. I would ride it, sink or swim, because you're going to get the good draft pick with it or not. Yeah, I don't think he's getting benched.
Fair enough. Kyle Pitts, 4.5 touchdowns. That's if he hits the over, that's 4 more than he had last year.
Yeah. Man, you would hope he had 1 last year.
Yeah.
And the 1 came in the London game. They had a lot of red zone woes. Matt Ryan was.
Look, I would bet the over on that. I would bet the over on that. I think the 1 touchdown last year is a fluke and an anomaly, and I don't expect that to continue for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I would imagine touchdown regression this year, meaning he's going to regress to the mean, and he will get a fair proportion of his targets will be touchdowns or be red zone targets, and yeah, I think he's a 1,000-yard wide receiver, tight end, whatever. I think he's a 1,000-yard receiver, and I think he's a 5 to 6 touchdown guy. So yeah, I would feel very good about the over
with
there.
Capability of hitting way higher than that.
For
it's just
sure.
a matter of what the offense is capable of. And I said Mariota on the over on passing yards. I don't want to sound hypocritical at all. I would take the over on Pitts. I would be hesitant though, because bad teams don't score. I'm sorry. Call me a smartass, but they don't. I don't know if Mariota's going to be throwing more than 24-ish touchdowns. it'd be hard if he does that. Pitts is hitting the over, but there's a world where he throws way less than that.
Yeah, I have him down for 16 right now.
Yeah,
and that's if he plays the full 16 games, which I do have projected. But I'm not excited about that projection.
I get that.
We'll move right along. I wrote Browns, but this is the Carolina Panthers. I wrote Browns because of Baker. Sorry about that. All right, so I got myself. Baker Mayfield 3,650 passing yards. Does he play every game? First of all, I think that's the first step.
Now I'm bullish on Baker though, and that's already been, that's been out there and well known. He's very well capable of hitting this line.
I think he crushes this line. Personally, I do. I mean, am I crazy?
You're fully buying the buy. Well, his years at Cleveland didn't entail having to throw for that much. You know, he had some stat lines where
I'm gonna look it up while I'm gonna let you filibuster for a second.
It's okay. He can do that. I don't think he will though. It's man, that's a tough one to bet on. Right around 4,000 though. I could see it. I don't know if he ever hit that in Cleveland though. I know he didn't last year because he was the injuries. I don't know.
You're right. Yeah. So 2021 had the injuries, 3,000 yards. 2020, 35. 2019, 38, and 2018, 37. So yeah, he's never passed for more than 4,000 yards, which is a little bit surprising to me. And he's definitely hit that mark, but not by a lot.
No, and that's why I would say with the new offense, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, but. You know, he played in the run-heavy system that was the Cleveland Browns his entire time. Even before they had Stefanski, this team really wasn't spread you out wide and we're just going to throw it. No, that wasn't their mantra.
And, I mean, they do have Christian McCaffrey for a reason. They're going to try and use him, granted through the air too, but yeah, they're going to use him on the ground a lot. I agree. I felt a lot better about it until I kind of looked at the numbers like, man, I guess it's true. I lean over, but you're right. There's a lot of questions there with Carolina, and that's really
that's me buying into the storyline hype.
For sure.
If you are, of course, against Baker, and I know there's a lot of people out there, I think this could be. I could see people slam dunk under this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of storylines out there where, in the first place, Baker plays, he still doesn't hit this.
Yeah.
Let alone who knows what else could happen in the year. He gets benched. It doesn't work out. Injury concerns.
Yeah,
there's a lot of storylines he gets the under.
He's already had a season where he played through injury, and it kind of cost him his team. So it absolutely wouldn't surprise me if he does have a nagging injury. Well, he might have learned his lesson. He might not go out there and play.
Other catch here is that they've already lost Matt Corral for the year, and Sam Darnold is, I don't know the severity of what happened
He's
to
done
him.
for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So your backup's gone for 6 weeks. They can't really afford his injury.
No.
But, I mean, I'm not saying he will be. CMC, 875 rushing yards. That's, I mean, obviously he hits it if he plays 17 games, but how do you bet on that?
Over.
You would bet on that? Or?
Yeah, I would. No, not that I would bet on that. I do think he hits the over, though. Christian McCaffrey's getting disrespected in a lot of different areas. I know he's been banged up for the last 2 years. I am a little comfortable in saying that it hasn't been the same nagging injury as it's the definition of injury prone. You know, he's had different injuries that have happened to him time and time again.
I mean, man, he hit 442 last year on 99 attempts. He crushes that if he's healthy.
He's going to hit that. He
crushes that if he's healthy.
Health intact, he crushes it. And I'm never going to bet on a guy getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I do think with as much rest as he had last year, you know, the front office, himself included, hopefully looked and was like, you know, I could come back and do X amount of games here or there. Probably could have come in, but why do it? I think that last year they took it for what it was and said, sit down, sit, be good, and we will wait until he's ready. He's ready.
And let's bring that right along to DJ Moore, 1,100 receiving yards. I'm gonna see where I have him. What is your instant reaction there?
Oh man, it's wild to see a receiver get that respectable of a line, but see your quarterback held back at 36.50 right there. That's commanding a large portion of the passing yards, which you expect your wide receiver one to do, and you expect your franchise wide receiver one to do. And, you know, do you buy into the storyline of DJ Moore making yet another step? I do feel he can be a solid 1,000-yard receiver, though, no problem.
I'm bullish. I have him at 1,300 receiving yards, so I am bullish on my projection. And by the way, just looking at my projections, I could not bet on Baker. I have the Carolina Panthers at 3,700 passing yards, so that's right at pretty much what Baker's line is at. Yeah, I would. I couldn't bet on it because my projection is very much a talent based projection and a best case scenario projection. And you got to remember, I do my projections based on my fantasy outlook and my preference as a player.
Yeah.
As much as like that crushes my personal projection, that is at his ceiling. So I wouldn't bet it, but I do like it.
Yeah, DJ, I like it. Baker under. CMC, love the over on that one.
Yeah.
I feel good with that.
This one, the Bears, it's going to be a weird one just because I want to talk a minute about one player, but we'll do quarterback first. We'll go Justin Fields here. I have his touchdowns. I figure we'll change it up with touchdowns at 18.5 touchdowns. I have him at 21. Do you think so? Barely over.
That's passing, right?
Yeah, passing touchdowns. Yes.
Okay. Well, for me, it wildly changes if you're.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Add in the rushing numbers there. Man, as much as I want to see Fields get this done, as much as I hope that he has a step, I wouldn't even say a step forward. He hasn't been given the right chance to have ground to step on in the first place. I think it's going to be the under. I'm hearing bad things from Bears beat writers about how the offense looks just atrocious. They look like someone said that it looks like they have junior JV talent going up against varsity when it comes to how they've built the offense. And, it's hard for me to combat that. There's questions about whether Montgomery's fitting in here or there. I do not like their receiver core at all. Yeah, I like Cole Kmet at tight end, but I'm not going to write home on that for betting on an over touchdown bet with Justin Fields. I think he's going to have to make a lot of plays with his legs. If you gave me an overall touchdown on 23-24, I would take. But I'm going to take the under here at 18.5.
Yeah, I lean. I tend to agree with you, even though I do have him projected to over. If you put a gun in my head, I'd almost have to bet the under, just because there's so many things working against him. Montgomery's though is really what I want to talk about because you mentioned it, and I want to dive into it just a little bit here. David Montgomery has. There's been reports that just came out of camp. I was reading about it today, saying that they are weary of David Montgomery's fit into this offense. David Montgomery going into his fourth year, like this is still a young running back. Overall, and Khalil Herbert is kind of getting a little bit of buzz as maybe the RB1 or RB1A or 1B, excuse me, to David Montgomery, with David Montgomery maybe not fitting the offense quite as well as they would like. His over-under is at 800, and like a couple of weeks ago, I probably say, man, he should get 1,000 yards. Now I'm over here saying, yeah, I want to lean under because I liked Khalil Herbert coming out, and I loved him last year in the limited time that he got. I thought he played really, really well.
I think it's a utilization thing, and it's always hard to project what a new head coach in Matt Eberflus is going to do whenever he comes in. He probably isn't looking at David Montgomery as this superstar-studded name like a lot of us do when it comes to, just different outlooks. He's coming in there looking at bodies, looking at legs, and from what I've heard, Khalil Herbert has done phenomenal with the touches that he's gotten. Yeah. And, I don't think Herbert's going to be RB1 taking the first snap out there week one, but fresh legs keeps it going, and I definitely think he's going to be sticking to that. I look for this as like it's going to be like a 55-45 split type thing. And, of course, you're going to have the other random names that come in there and, take what you will.
And if it's a 55-45 split on what we already think is going to be a bad offense.
The Bears are not commanding.
How do you not slam the under on David Montgomery?
Exactly. No, exactly. I would be under on it for sure.
I'm going to highlight it. I think I'm going to bet that one.
All right.
Be down on Montgomery. Yeah, go right on. We're going to bet that one on Bovada there.
Bovada Bears.
The Dallas Cowboys are next. You want to go with it?
I love this one.
I'm going to let you take the lead. Let's hear it.
Okay, I am so just high on Dallas in the offense, and listen, just the capabilities of what they have. Maybe, it may not equate to win-loss totals, but god dang, they were in some shootouts last year. They're hoping that the defense is going to make some steps up with Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs, but guess what? They were there last year, and I would argue that they got worse on the defensive front by letting Randy Gregory go. That only reinforces the fact that they're going to continue to push the ball down the field vertically. CeeDee Lamb is due for just an astronomical jump this year. I think he can be a top 5 wide receiver by the time this is all said and done statistically. Dak 4,250, he hits that in his sleep. The one to watch right here is Zeke. We have Zeke in the middle.
Well, let's mention. You mentioned CD. His line is at 1150. I just want to make sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
CD Lamb 1150. Yeah, CD's going to get 13 to 14.
Okay, so
for me,
slamming the over on CD, slamming the over on Dak on receiving passing.
We're adding an extra game. This is an offensive-based league. It takes a while for the defense to catch up. As is, they are in a bad division where they can beat up on several teams.
And it feels like this team has to win through the air. I mean,
Dak is always capable of doing that. He is in the same breath to be the passing leader for most years. If he's in that area, we have Herbert, who on the other hand is at like 46, 4,700 on his bet. I understand why he has that there, but I do think that Dak is capable of throwing for that, and America's team's going to do it.
All right. So, and then now I'll let you. I just wanted to make sure we hammered home for the people listening.
List the numbers out that's there.
And then I'll let you go to Zeke because I know you had a good transition there as well.
Give me the under.
Give me the under.
Give me the under.
He's at 800 yards.
It's hard to always base it off of that, but Tony Pollard's going to be coming in there, and they're going to be running this thing pretty well split. Zeke is going to have his pop plays. He's going to have his good games, but I don't see him being a 1,000-yard rusher anymore. And it would be biased for me to say that I see Zeke hitting 1,000 as well as CD crushing what he crushes and Dak. Listen, they can put out 6,000 yards of total offense, but you never bet on that.
Yeah. Now Zeke's line is at 800, so it doesn't have to hit 1,000 to hit the over there. I will say the thing that, because I do agree, the thing that scares me is the amount of attempts that I think he's gonna ultimately get.
Yeah.
And assuming health and assuming 350 rushing attempts, he will hit 800 yards. 350
for sure.
Yeah, and let me look up what his attempts have been. That's the thing that scares me. It's all about what Jerry Jones has said about, hey, this team still runs through Zeke and all these other things, and the fact that they paid a shit ton of money.
The payroll runs through Zeke too.
Yeah.
Now there is that we've talked about it before about the running back curse when it comes to the amount of carries that you get. Though there's a substantial drop off,
and I take that back. 350 was way too high. He's been in the 230 to 240 range the past 2 years, hitting his over both years though.
And he's hit it every single year.
He's never gone under 800 yards. He's never gone under 900 yards in his career. But the thing is, he's been playing since 2016, and that's too long for a running back. I mean, that's mean, but like if he's had 6 years in the league, his seventh. I mean, he's ready to have a down year. There's just almost no way around him not having a statistically down year.
I think the line shows that.
Yeah,
I think the line
respects that for sure. That's a tough one though. That's one that I couldn't bet on because as much as I do agree that 800 feels like a lot for Zeke and the way I view him now, especially with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is the better running back on this team. But that doesn't matter. Tony Pollard isn't getting paid the way Zeke is. They're gonna. I mean, the financial and business element does come into play here. Jerry Jones is gonna have what he wants on the field, and I do think it could be Zeke for better or worse of the football team.
No, I get that, and I want to go back and say Dak slam dunk over, CD slam dunk over, Zeke I'm not touching. I was giving my answer for what it was.
I
don't want to sound as just driving it home. Ringing the bell saying Zeke's going to hit this over. Yeah, Zeke, I mean, it's a hard number to touch, but CD and Dak, I will 100% make the bet on.
All right. I absolutely agree. All right, let's run through a couple of these just so we're not running low on time here. Yeah. Jared Goff, 3,600 passing yards. I have him at 38. Where do you lean?
Yeah, I mean, I get right around there. So
it's tough to bet. I wouldn't bet on it.
I would say over.
Yeah,
I think he plays. He's a pretty solid quarterback.
I don't think there's any scenario where he gets benched. And plus, I mean, their backups are terrible. They've cut both their backups and signed a different one today, actually.
Yeah, it's Jared Goff's team. I mean, there should be in some at least games trying to compete.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. I would think so. And I do think they're going to be I think they're going to be a better football team. DeAndre Swift. 850 is the line. I have him at 856. So, I absolutely can't touch this. Where do you lean?
Under.
Yeah.
If it was all-purpose yards, of course we would take the over there. I think he's going to be a really, really.
I have him 500 yards through the air.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think his utilization through that's going to be great. Jamal Williams, though, Dan Campbell loves that guy.
Yeah.
He loves him.
He loves
his high energy, loves his motor, and a good number two, and he showed that back in Green Bay. And I think he's complimentary to DeAndre Swift. I see no reason for them to run him into the ground.
I agree with that, and it's not like this team isn't looking at your fantasy team for DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift, again, I think under 850 yards would be another disappointing fantasy season unless he just really makes up for it through the air. And I kind of am not expecting an absolutely stellar fantasy season. I'm just not. So it'll be interesting. Oh, my dog just got through here. We'll move right along here with the Packers. This is a tough one just because of the lack of receiving weapons. I think I know where you're going to go with this. At Aaron Rodgers at 39.50. I think you're going to I think you're going to slam the under on the sole reason that they don't have a oh, really?
No, we're talking MVP, the reigning MVP. I see no reason as to why he's not going to go out here and still be passing the ball at will. Yeah, he's not going to throw for 4,500, but we're talking 4,000. I don't see where the drop-off's coming. It doesn't matter who he's throwing to, really. I would argue that he ended up making Jordy Nelson into what Jordy Nelson was.
Yeah.
Devontae is leaps and bounds better, and he has his own talent, as he should in his own respect. I'm not trying to say Aaron Rodgers made Devontae Adams, but I do think that Aaron Rodgers was able to elevate Devontae based on the numbers. And, I'm ready for Lazard season.
Hey, preseason Jerry Rice has been killing it. Romeo Dobbs over here.
Yes.
Listen, I make that joke just because I think I heard it online somewhere, but I genuinely, I really like Romeo Dobbs. I'm excited to see what Christian Watson can do. I mean, this is a young receiver core. There are going to be bumps in the road, but that's expected. And yeah, I agree. I thought you were going to go under based on all the things going on. I agree. I'm going over as well. There's no fear there for me for him to pass 4,000 yards. He's done it every year for years now.
He's so efficient. He's prepared to do it. Yeah, he has no problem now with his age getting a little, he's getting on up there in years. And the Packers, they have two great running backs where they're more than capable of handing the reins over to them and taking it out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. We saw, I would say, a drop-off last year when it came to, the amount of volume of games. Like, Aaron Rodgers had no problem throwing for 170 a couple games. But there'd also be those games where he would just light you up.
Yeah. I mean, he's thrown for over 4,000 in the past 5 years. Or 4 years, excuse me. He was injured in 2017. Just tough to imagine that he doesn't do it again. Let's move on to you mentioned the running backs. We have a couple different here. So for Aaron Jones, we're going to go touchdowns. For AJ Dillon, we're going to go yards. So we're not stepping on each other's toes here.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones. Touchdowns at 5.5 on Bovada there. Where do you lean there with Aaron Jones touchdown?
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah, that's tough.
I do think that A.J. Dillon would be my primary red zone back, so I think that rushing touchdowns, he should get the little bit of an edge. But I would say over for Aaron Jones right there.
I lean that way too.
I would think 8.
6 to 8 seems very, very real to me. And then AJ Dillon rushing yards 750.
Over.
I love the over there.
I think both of these backs are capable of hitting 1K. They don't need to. One of them's going to have a little bit of an edge. Aaron Jones hits 1K. AJ Dillon's going to hit like 8, 9.
Yeah, I agree.
It's over.
And everything we've heard is this is 1A, 1B as far as production and utilization. So I have no fear. This is a good rushing football team. This is a good offensive football team in general. I have no fear about really all of these hitting, and it's kind of scary to say that, but yeah, I'll stick with it. I think this is going to be. I still think this is a great team in the NFL or in the NFC specifically.
They are.
They're just. I don't feel like one player being gone doesn't make the entire team terrible.
No, and Devontae does not change the passing numbers that much. That's what I'm trying to say. It's next man up mentality. There's going to be so many different names that are coming in here, and Aaron Rodgers is going to find a guy that he trusts, a guy that he likes, regardless whether it's rookies or not, to get them the ball.
100% agree. Moving right along, the L.A. Rams. This is an interesting one. Super Bowl champs. Stafford at 4,300.
Over.
4,300, huh?
Yes. This is an electric offense. I think a lot of people are going to be throwing for 5K.
Yeah.
There's going to be at least 2 or 3 names that they're tossing for 5,000 yards this year. I'm sorry to say that, but listen, we've seen it before they added this extra game. We are starting to see things going.
Did not realize that you put up 4,800 last year.
It's happening. It's happening. Like it's going to happen.
Put up 4,800, and I have him projected to 46. So at 43, yeah, I mean that's not crazy at all.
There's no reason that Cam Akers coming back is saying that Sean McVay is just going to change everything and just go back to running the ball. Cooper Kupp's going to get his, and with an over for Stafford, I also think Kupp's going to hit his over at 12.75.
Would you bet that though?
Yeah.
You bet on a receiver hitting 13 yards?
Yes, I would, because he was only 18 yards short, or whatever it was. I won't say 18. a handful of yards, a half game short of breaking the record from Calvin Johnson, breaking the receiving record. He almost hit 2K. That's insane.
That's nuts. Look, I haven't projected to hit that over as well.
Do you think the attention that he's going to gain is going to stop him? We thought that mid-season last year.
I think Allen Robinson is better than Robert Woods.
Yeah.
So realistically, I if anything, he gets less. I mean, not gonna say less attention, but if anything, like they've upgraded the weapons around him as a whole. Obviously, I know Odell was there for a minute, and that definitely helped Cooper. But I don't. At the end of the day, no, I don't. I do think Allen Robinson's gonna get his, and I think Cooper's gonna get his. I think this is gonna be a good passing offense, like it's been. Cam Akers at 849.5. Where do you land there? That's a tough one for me.
Coming back from injury, it's a hard one to say. Yeah,
I'm under because Daryl. So and again, this is the same thing. It feels like they have completely turned the leaf from the Todd Gurley run him into the ground mentality, which I think Todd Gurley, he pretty much fell apart and was never the same after that one great season. And I do think the coaching staff has seen that and been like, man, we don't want to do this to these guys. So they're a running back by committee type of team. 850 yards is not a crazy number to hit even with a running back by committee. I just said A.J. Dillon would hit over 750, but I think Darrell Henderson will be a solid number 2 and a 1B type of guy on a pass first offense. I'm going to lean under.
If I had to bet it, I would bet. If I had to, man, I'd bet the over. But I mean, I'm talking like 875, 900.
Yeah, you wouldn't feel good about that.
You're going to be sweating that out late. Yeah, you're going to be sweating that one.
Let's move right along to the Minnesota Vikings, your team. I'll let you take the lead here with.
You got to take the lead. I don't want to take the lead on my Vikings. I want to pick your brain on them and see what you think.
All right, Kirk Cousins 4,200. I haven't projected out to 4,300. That's a tough one there for me. I wouldn't bet it, but I guess I'd bet the over for the gun to my head. Dalvin Cook at 1125. I haven't projected to hit that over as well. I'm wondering if I'm just over projecting everybody because that's one where I don't want to bet the over there because just looking at my projections, I don't have the obligatory 2 to 3 games that Dalvin Cook misses pretty much every year factored in. So first, I think I need to fix my projections on that. And second, I will go under on 1125, which you can go under 1125 and still have a good season. So that's not really hating on Dalvin Cook in any way. And then Justin Jefferson at 1350. I can't bet on a wide receiver to hit over 1,350 yards. Although if I was gonna, Justin Jefferson would be on the short list of guys I would bet on.
Man, I said it for Kupp with 1275. These elite top 5 guaranteed wide receivers, like we said, health intact always, will get theirs. I see no reason as to why this revamped Minnesota offense with O'Connell coming over from the Rams, they want to spread the ball, they want to pass the ball. I'm seeing shotgun all over the field. I really like it. Quick release, going to help out Kirk Cousins. Kirk should hit that over. JJ should hit that over. I would bet the under on Dalvin, though.
Yeah.
1125 is crazy.
Is that one where I should highlight it, hop on Bovada, and actually make this bet? Because, we talk about all these bets.
Look at the health. Like Dalvin, like you said, Dalvin is good to miss a few games. Mm-hmm. Alexander Madison is
freaking good.
He is. There's a lot of trade buzz around him, which I'm kind of scared because
don't trade him.
Don't trade him. No, we don't have a guy capable of stepping up. Listen, we all know it from Fantasy Outlook. If Madison goes down, he's that week's waiver wire grab. He's
if Dalvin Cook goes down.
If Dalvin Cook goes down, he's a smooth 100 yards. He's going to get that occasional touchdown.
Absolutely.
Dalvin Cook is amazing in his ability, but this offense pumps out yards as is. Mm-hmm. And I would hope that we are going to be a pushing team looking for the long-term goal.
And we don't know how...
take it easy.
Yeah, and we don't know how the offensive change, which you just mentioned, how we think it's going to be a positive for the passing game. We don't know how that's going to affect the running game. I don't think they're going to completely, walk away from the run game, but it wouldn't shock me if...
I promise you we're not doing Mike Zimmer I formation and strong all the time, though. It's
I
not
agree.
Gonna happen.
I agree. We're moving on from a defensive-minded head coach that wants to run the ball and control the game through on the ground to more new age mindset of pass heavy. You got to imagine that's going to help out the passing game and hurt the running game. But we'll move on to the Saints. Don't have much for the Saints. Just Jameis Winston to talk about on the Saints, just because there's so many questions. We don't know what's happening with Alvin Kamara. We don't know what's happening with Michael Thomas. So we don't have lines for that. Jameis Winston at 3650. I have him at 36, 37. How do you bet? I can't bet it. Yeah, I'm right on the nose there.
I feel like it's got to be over.
Really?
Jameis in his career, he's known for throwing just absolute yardage down your throat. There'll be picks to match the touchdowns. That's the catch there. But I mean, the year that he left the Bucks, I want to say he hit 5,000 yards. It was astronomical. I think he threw for 5K, 30, and 30.
Yeah, 5K, 33 and 30. But that's the only time in his career, other than his first 2 years in the career, that he would have hit the over. Granted, he was hurt last year. Really didn't play in 2020 that much.
He was the backup that year.
I get that, but I lean under because like that Bucks team was loaded with receiving talent. And that Bucks team was still a
with an identity.
Toss it. Yeah, exactly. They were toss heavy. They were comfortable throwing the picks that they were throwing if they were going to get those yards. Obviously, they would have liked to have a couple less picks. He'd probably still be on that team.
I feel comfortable with him being a 4,000 yard thrower though. I think that they have Michael Thomas, they have Jarvis, they have Chris Olave,
and he's consistently hit those numbers. That's a tough one. I'm not touching it, but I get why you like that. Is that something you would actually bet, or just something you like?
No, it'd be hard to bet on his health coming back for sure. But I mean, I like it. It doesn't mean I'm gonna write it home, but I like it.
I get that for sure. We'll move on to the Giants. Daniel Jones, 3450. Where you at? Can I go home?
Gotta be under, right? I've heard Dayball doesn't really like him that much. He's, but what happened to Tyrod?
I have the over. Tyrod got hurt. I'm not really worried about that. I don't think Tyrod supplants Daniel Jones. I think this is Daniel Jones' team for the year. I
heard.
I would bet over if I had to. I wouldn't bet this though. I wouldn't touch this. I don't want to touch the Giants.
I think Tyrod's going to start a game or two here and there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we're different. I like Daniel Jones enough to believe in him.
I
for
do.
This season.
I just heard that Dayball doesn't. If they're splitting first team reps in preseason,
I heard about that.
Maybe he's doing it to try to, show Daniel Jones like, hey, this ain't your team. I'm coming in here now. You got to show me that this is your team.
Yeah.
But Tyrod, from what I've seen, has risen up to every occasion that he has. He's a punctured lung away from still probably being over at the Chargers, and we don't know what we have in Herbert yet. Maybe not to that extent, but it was a medical reason as to where.
Yeah, he hasn't been truly supplanted in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, Baker did it, but I mean that's 5 years ago, pretty much 4 or 5 years
exactly.
ago.
So
I get that. That's solid logic. I think that's a tough one. Again, I wouldn't touch this. And then Saquon Barkley at 900 rushing yards. I wouldn't touch this either because you're just. We know he hits it if he's healthy, but you want to bet on health with Saquon Barkley? I don't.
I think he's going to be healthy. It's just a matter of they're going to through the passing game.
Really? So you're not. See, I have him. I have him at 950 right now on my projections, but that is factoring in him missing some games. I think if he plays 17 games, he crushes this over, in my opinion.
I love Saquon this year. I really do. I'm telling you, I think that he is pissed off. He is ready to get paid, and he wants to show people that he is up there and one of the best running backs out there. And athletically gifted-wise, I've always said it, he is 100% that. You put him on a team that has half the weapons around that some of the other guys get to benefit from, who knows the numbers he's capable of doing.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I absolutely agree. So you're betting the over?
Yeah, I would feel okay with the over. I mean, it'd be hard. It'd be hard. No, I don't want to bet on the New York Giants anyway.
I agree. Let's move right along to the Philadelphia Eagles, a team I think I would bet on here. We got Jalen Hurts. We got two lines for Jalen Hurts. I got rushing and passing over here on Bovada right now. Rushing 675, passing 3450. And I think those are both really well placed lines. Really well placed lines.
They nailed it, man.
Yeah.
That could be his season. And that's a damn good year too.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you're wanting Jalen Hurts to be.
Give him 7 touchdowns on the ground, 20 in the air.
Putting him more than 675 puts him up there with the range of having Kyler and Lamar-like legs. Mm-hmm. He is capable of moving the ball through the ground like that, but not in the same electric way. But having him pass any more than that is saying that he's just a true under center guy, which I don't really think he fits that mold either.
It's tough because look, I think of those three, And really, I would say Trey Lance is probably a better, runner than Jalen Hurts even. Not Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I feel like Justin Fields has done enough. Like a couple of his highlights from last year, like, holy crap, he's running around people. But of those three that you just mentioned, I definitely think Hurts is the least from an athletic runner perspective versus Lamar or Kyler, which isn't an insult. Those two are special.
Yeah.
But from a passing perspective, I think he's significantly farther under. Like, I would at least say it's close with the rushing, but passing, I don't love his arm. It's gotten better every year, and it can still get better this year with AJ Brown and
Lamar and Kyler
Smith.
Are top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and it's a very talented league out there.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, but
we aren't there yet. There's a lot of questions.
We're a year removed from asking questions. We said he had to play to save the Eagles his job and himself, because if they played themselves into a top 5 pick, there's quarterback.
We thought it was a lame duck year. Well,
yes.
I did. I won't speak for you, but I thought it was a lame duck year.
I like Jalen more than that, but there was a chance where all it takes is Howie Roseman just looking at you going, let's take this in a different direction. Let's
rather have Jalen Rieger.
Yeah.
All right. Those are both really well placed lines. Wouldn't touch either of them. Gun to your head. Where are you going?
Gun to my head. Give me the under on rushing, the over on passing. I see more like a 500, 3,700.
I go the exact opposite.
But wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't want a gun to my head on that. That's
so
tough.
hard to look at that though and be like, I could see it going either way. I do think the Eagles are going to be competitive. I love Jalen Hurts for what they've built. The one that I feel more comfortable talking about is the under from AJ Brown.
Really?
Yes, the
under.
Yes, the under.
He's at 1,000 yards.
Devontae's the guy that I want. Devontae's the guy getting the 1,000 here.
So 1,000 receiving yards, and you think Devontae Smith is better than AJ Brown?
I do. In this offense, with the chemistry that they've already had under their belt, skill set wise, I think that it's Devontae.
Is there a way we can do a shot bet season long? I think AJ Brown outperforms Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I'm fine with
100%.
that. Yeah,
100%.
I think that I have injuries on my side. I think that I have history on my side when it comes to what AJ didn't do in Tennessee.
If you say injuries on your side, Devontae Smith is like this big. So I would say Devontae Smith is more likely to get hurt than AJ Brown.
But AJ's been banged up though.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Can you pull up his numbers from Tennessee? Because we live in Tennessee and I catch all of the radio shows here. And there's one guy who's known for being a little bit of a hot take guy. But one of the ones that I had to sit down and listen to was looking at the stats behind AJ Brown and saying that if he's not going to be the number one here, I don't think he's going to command that amount of yards. And I'm sorry, I don't think that he's number one.
You don't think he's number one on the Eagles?
On the Eagles, I think Devontae's the number one.
Okay, so I think that's where we ultimately disagree. So just for his stats, he's hit over 1,000 his first 2 seasons and was at 869 last year with injuries. Definitely hurting his season last year. But yeah, he's been insanely good. I did not realize his rookie year he hit over 1,000 yards. That's awesome.
It was insane for a Titans. They should have paid that man.
That's so dumb. Yeah, I think they paid AJ Brown to be the number one. I think he is the number one. Devontae Smith, great player. I don't think we're very far apart on how good Devontae Smith is. I see AJ Brown as a true number one. I see Devontae Smith more as a number 2 guy. I really do. But either one could be that guy. I don't know. We'll see. Devontae Smith is tough because he did have a good rookie year. He was just overshadowed by a Jamar Chase and a Jalen Waddle, both drafted ahead of him and both had a better year, rookie year.
I think with the chemistry that they've built together, Jalen Hurts and Devontae. Yeah, I know that Jalen Hurts was a big advocate of going and getting AJ Brown. Anyways, he loves him. AJ Brown is a good receiver. I like him a lot. I just think it's hard to get a guy straight up in the offseason like that and immediately expect 1,000 yards of production.
Yeah, I 100% get that. 49ers, really, really tough one here as we end out this show with the last 3 or 4 teams. Trey Lance, 3,300 passing yards.
They got him to do the over.
Yeah, that's tough.
They drafted him with all the capital. He damn better do the over, but I'm hesitant in saying that. Yeah. They love to run the ball.
I wouldn't touch it. it. I couldn't find a Trey Lance rushing prop, but man, I would not touch it on Trey Lance.
We haven't seen enough of it. We've seen such a small scope of it.
All I've seen is bad play. And to me, if the 49ers really, really honestly believed in Trey Lance, they would have cut Jimmy G and not paid him a cent. Because they're paying him $12 million to be a backup right now.
They restructured it, yeah.
Well, $6 million guaranteed with a lot of bonuses. I get that, but still, you're paying him a lot of money to be the backup. I don't know, man. I'm not in on Trey Lance. I'm kind of out of him
very few
as a
players
passer
with as much pressure on them as Trey Lance has to.
Yeah.
With the
and if he
success
doesn't do well this year.
Yeah, the success that has followed the 49ers, Jimmy G still being on that roster, breathing down his neck. All it takes is Trey Lance pissing a game away. It doesn't matter if it's week 6. If you piss a game away, you have Jimmy G who's right there, who we've always said it, he won't win you the game, but I do think he will. He's not going to put you in a spot to straight up lose.
He's not going to lose you a game, and if you're on a team with a George Kittle, a Deebo Samuel, a Brandon Ayuk, who's a great number 2, and a great running game, which they all have, and a great offensive line, good offensive line, yeah, you already are in a position where you're not going to lose a lot of games.
That can be defense is great. Defense.
Yeah, there's a real argument that if you take the quarterback away for the 49ers, this is the best roster top to bottom in the league. I mean, this roster is loaded with talent at pretty much every position, and
gotta love the coaching staff.
Yeah,
too.
and the coaching makes it even better.
He's got pressure on him. If he doesn't throw for 3,300, like I said, they spent 3 first-round picks on this guy. It's. Ugh. Someone's got to foot that bill.
It is scary. It does make you want, man. Yeah, you're right. It sucks for a guy who really he hasn't played football in 2 years because he had the COVID year where he played one weird game, didn't play obviously his rookie season with injuries and being a rookie and being behind Jimmy G. And now he's going into his first time playing real football at the NFL level in a tough division. And if he isn't as advertised, he is going to get absolutely obliterated. I mean,
is it his fault he played FCS? Is it his fault that the team went up and got this much on him?
No, nobody.
I think it would be more beneficial if Jimmy G was not on roster.
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
As a team success, I see what the 49ers are doing. I'm saying for a Trey Lance mental health projection, it would make me feel more comfortable in my job knowing that he's gone.
I look at it from because I get that. I do get that from the player perspective. I look at if I'm the head coach, if I'm running this team, and I'm saying, man, Jimmy G got us a couple plays away from getting to the Super Bowl, and he's already gotten us to a Super Bowl once. A couple plays go your way, you probably win that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's really, really tough for me to if Trey Lance is struggling that first 6 games, like you said, and they come out of that first 6 games somehow 2-4, 3-3, and Trey Lance hasn't been good. It's going to be it is nice having the backup of, hey, Jimmy G could go in right now and finish off the season and at least give Trey Lance a break. So I think that to me that's why they made this move. To me, they
get it.
As the ultimate hey, we still, regardless of the move we made, regardless of anything else, we're still a great coaching staff. We've still drafted really well. We're not really even if we totally miss on Trey Lance, we're not going to lose our jobs. Hopefully not. If they do, Kyle Shanahan will have another job very quickly. I would think they still have to keep the end goal, which is the Super Bowl. Yes, and Jimmy G is the ultimate, man, Trey Lance could crash and burn. That's a real possibility.
I feel like we're being a little too harsh, though.
Of course. There's the other side of it.
The world where Trey Lance hits, the world where his athletic gifts give them the push that separate him in the playoffs. We saw last year's game with the 49ers and Packers. Oh, my God, was that just a snore fest. That was all you needed was someone out there to make a play. Yeah. And, of course, we knew Jimmy G most likely isn't going to be the guy to make that play. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make this an Aaron Rodgers thing at all, but we already saw how that one played out. It was the special teams that really took over the day there. If Trey Lance is able to be a guy who can show up and make 2 to 3 play difference, that's why they got him, and that's all they need. He has the tools and weapons around him to be that guy. It's just, damn, he has a lot of pressure on him too, though.
Yeah,
that's scary.
I absolutely agree. Because the other side of this is week 6, they're 5-1. Trey Lance is looking good. We don't need Jimmy G. Oh shit, Carolina's Baker Mayfield went down in Carolina. Hey, Rule, you're on a hot seat. You need a quarterback right now to maybe save your job. Give us a 3rd round pick. Give us a 4th round pick. Jimmy G's cheap and he's willing to go.
That's why they're waiting, because Jimmy G hit the floor knowing he wants out, knowing all this. He probably were getting around a 4th, 5th. Yeah. He's worth more than that. Wait for demand to hit it.
And granted, Jimmy G also, he does have that trade clause, so where he would get to decide where to go. But that's fine too if if there's a situation mid-season where he's okay with moving and the 49ers feel comfortable with it, that's another possibility. All right, we spent way too long on Trey Lance here. Let's power through. Deebo Samuel, 925 passing yards real quick. Were you over under on that?
Over because of how pissed off he was about being used as a running back.
I'm going under because of
Trey Lance.
Yeah. We'll keep it at that. The Seahawks don't have any other line other than DK Metcalf at 900 receiving yards. I'm going over. I don't care who's throwing the bar. DK can get 1,000 yards.
I agree.
If you're smart, you just throw it to him. Throw it to him.
Yeah.
I mean, throw it to the top shelf. You're going to get. I think he needs to be the star of the show from the passing offense perspective. He'd be my guy.
And 1,000 yards is not that demanding in a season. That's why like I said, the AJ Brown thing, he very well could hit that. I just think that it's going to be more close to what it was. DK's getting that,
for sure. The Tampa Bay Bucks, we got Brady and Mike Evans here. Brady at 4,500 yards. Does he hit it?
God, that's a high line, isn't
missed 1,100 or missed. Well, he threw for over 5,000 last year.
Yeah.
Not a high line compared to what he's done.
I think he should have been MVP last year. Looking at it, does Father Time get him? He's beat it time and time again.
He missed 11 days in training camp though, so that pretty much crushes his season.
Building his personal brand. He's out there doing the Masked Singer. You'll see him in the next episode. I think he hits the over. And Mike Evans at 1,025. Evans is the surest bet for an over with that. I think he's hit it 7 years in a row now.
Has he really?
I think he is time and time again the most disrespected receiver. Him and Devontae came in the league around the same time. He's doubled Devontae when it comes to yards. It's insane.
I'm just looking at Mike Evans' stats real quick. Yeah, he's hit over 1,000. Wow, he's never had under 1,000 yards receiving.
He is the most unsung hero in the NFL. I love Mike Evans. No one ever gives him credit. No one gives him credit.
Joined the team in 2014 as a first-round pick, put up 1,000 yards, and has put up 1,000 yards.
At quarterback.
Has put up 1,000 yards every single year of his career. Now, granted, in 2017 he had 1,001, so it was close.
Yeah.
And in 2020 he had 1,006, so it was close. But those are injuries too.
What's the logic behind that though? Pull up Devontae real quick, just a little. Devontae Adams stats. Like Devontae, he is an amazing talent too. I just want to pick everyone's brain out there and be like, why is Devontae regarded as a top 5, but we have Mike Evans, who they've been in the league for the same amount of time. Mike Evans has been statistically better. I just don't get, I don't get it. Is Mike Evans just outside of that conversation? Should he be up there? Is Devontae just now hitting?
Mike Evans through his career has been the better player, certainly in the first 4 years. Devontae Adams didn't hit 1,000 yards until his 2018 season. He was drafted the same year as Mike Evans. Obviously, Mike Evans, first-round pick, Devontae Adams, second-round pick, going to a team that just never utilizes the rookie. So, he kind of had to earn his spot a little bit.
Jordy and all the older guys.
For sure. But then you look at the past 4 years where his numbers have been ridiculous, but he was hyper targeted on a very good passing team, and Mike Evans has never been hyper targeted the way I think Devontae Adams has. Devontae Adams was the centerpiece of the passing offense from a receiver perspective. He was the centerpiece, and I do think I'll say this. There's a lot of guys that you could have put in that position that would put up similar numbers. DJ Moore. DJ Moore, you put in that position, playing for the Packers, having Aaron Rodgers throwing him and being the main target every single play, the number one look every single play. I think DJ Moore puts up similar numbers. I think, and I can just name off a lot of really good wide receivers that I like across the league.
For me, the difference is the receptions. Look at the years that Devontae has broke 1,000. Over 110 receptions, 111 for 13, 115 for 13. Last year, historical 123 for 15. Mike Evans doesn't get over 90.
Has had over 90 one time in 2016.
And that followed with one of his best years. That is just an
70,
insane
74, 67,
average.
86. Yeah, that's nuts.
I just want him to get a little respect, where it's due. He's been very consistent.
He's a borderline Hall of Fame wide receiver. He really, he's in that conversation. He really
I think he should be. And I think if you're willing to say it, I think he's a tick ahead of where Devontae is in the Hall of Fame consideration.
Yeah, and Devontae gets all the credit. Devontae's regarded as this number one wide receiver. And he is
Some said he's the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he is very, very good. I do think it's situation and production that makes this argument really difficult when you're arguing against a guy like Devontae. But situation and production are the key factors for any wide receiver at any position. Yeah. It just happens. When your job and your production is completely dependent on scheme and the quarterback, it makes it a little bit difficult to the number one, the best wide receiver in the league isn't always the guy who puts up the most stats.
Yep. I'll hop off the platform for him. Like I said, just wanted to get that out there.
I completely agree. I think it's a really good conversation. We'll end it with the Commanders here. Carson Wentz, 34.50. It's tough. It's dirty, but I would go over. I think they're going to be a bad team throwing a lot, and Carson Wentz, as boneheaded as the amount of boneheaded mistakes he makes, he's still a good quarterback that can move the ball down the field. From a statistical standpoint, I understand you don't love him if he's your franchise quarterback just because of the downside of a Carson Wentz, but I like the upside there too with the yards. So I would go over, but not love it. Wouldn't bet it for sure. And then Scary Terry, you hop on Bovada and make this bet or what?
I don't know if I'm hopping on Bovada and making that bet with Scary Terry. I said under
1,000
for
yards over.
It's the same thing. You know, all their lines are the same. That same class: DK, Scary Terry, Debo, and AJ. AJ's was the AJ's and Scary's were the highest out of all that. It's hard. Bad team, going to be throwing the ball. Not a lot of crowded names in there. I'm curious to see. They drafted Jahan so high. You can't help but think that they're going to be trying to get him some targets. But there's no way he's not dethroning Scary Terry for.
No, by no means.
By no means. Should hit the over. I know they want him to.
I wouldn't bet it. I would if I
can't bet on that.
Gun to my head, I'm going under. I am. There's so many. This is such a weird team. Feels like the Washington Commanders are just the hardest team for me to project. I could see so many different players going so many different directions, and I don't have a good feeling in my stomach. If I'm a Washington fan, I'm not super happy. Love you, Brian. Sorry about that.
It's hard to get hype about.
All right, hey, that's it. I think we're good.
Yeah, we nailed it.
Got in right at an hour. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week. Peace.
7.